Coming up on Oxford Weekly News, there's a proposed change to the funding of Talawanda School District's busing.
But first, a closer look at a policy designed to reduce rates of high-risk alcohol consumption. Welcome to Oxford Weekly News. I'm Skylar Dubelko.
And I'm Althea Purley. Thanks for joining us. The Butler County Coroner has ruled that the death of a Miami University student was caused by complications related to excessive alcohol consumption. The Butler County Coroner released details on a Miami student's death on February 22nd. Erica Bushick died January 20th in her Morris Hall dorm. According to the autopsy, in addition to alcohol, marijuana, and an antidepressant were found in her system. The death was ruled as an accident. At the time of death, Bushick's blood alcohol level was more than 4 times the legal limit.
Erica Bushick's death has brought attention to a Miami policy designed to reduce high-risk drinking. Oxford Weekly News reporter Greta Morris joins us now. Greta?
Several years, Miami University has had a Good Samaritan policy on campus. I talked to the Miami University Police Department to find out more. In the fall of 2013, Miami introduced a new plan called the Good Samaritan policy.
The Good Samaritan policy is a policy that allows students to call for help for their friends who are intoxicated or under the influence and they believe they need medical help.
The guidelines outlined in Miami's student handbook states that disciplinary action will not be taken against students who seek emergency medical assistance for themselves or for other students. Students are made aware of this policy as soon as they arrive to campus in August.
Usually they learn about it at the beginning of the year whenever they come in. There's always officers that talks to each group to tell them about the Good Samaritan policy. They have RAs in their buildings that should be talking to them about them. And any opportunity that we have that we meet with the community, we always talk about it.
In 2016, 60 students utilized the policy. In the first 2 months of 2017, the Good Samaritan protocol has been used 16 times. Early February saw a high number of alcohol-related hospitalizations, but officials say they'd rather see this than anything worse.
Hopefully it allows them to get the help that is needed rather than have an incident where a student does not get the medical attention that they need because they're scared of getting in trouble.
Above all, the plan is in place to help students.
I think we still need more Good Samaritan calls because there's still students out there that are passed out drunk and people still are not calling because they're scared to get in trouble, and we need them to call to get the medical help that's needed for their friends.
If you're interested in learning more about the Good Samaritan policy, Miami University and the Oxford community are hosting a Good Samaritan and alcohol poisoning workshop on March 9th at 11:30 in the LCNB community room. Back to you, Althea.
17 arrests were made at Johnny's Deli February 17th following an undercover operation conducted by the Ohio Investigative Unit. Individuals were all under the age of 21 and were arrested for possessing alcohol. Some were also in possession of fake IDs. OPD Chief John Jones says the Ohio Investigative Unit visits Oxford periodically, typically for events like Green Beer Day.
A Talawanda High School student is being charged with a second-degree felony after a bomb threat at the school February 22nd. This is the second bomb threat at Talawanda in an 8-day period. The school was placed on a precautionary lockdown after the threat was discovered on a restroom wall. A 17-year-old student was charged with inducing panic and was taken to the Butler County Juvenile Detention Center. The Oxford Police Department arrested a woman February 13th when she tried to use counterfeit money. The woman used a counterfeit bill to purchase pseudoephedrine at Walmart's pharmacy. She was charged with counts of criminal simulation and multiple counts of theft.
Sounds like happened in this situation is where a distraction is thrown up to try to get the clerk to not pay attention and just want to hurry up because we don't want anybody making a scene, so we want to move fast. So that, I think, is what may have happened in this situation.
Jones says that while counterfeiting is not prevalent in Oxford, he has seen multiple cases within the last 2 years and encourages retailers to take extra steps when handling cash.
Ohio Governor Kasich's proposed education budget could have big effects on Talawanda schools. Oxford Weekly News reporter Angie Riffle is here to tell us about the proposal. Angie?
Thanks, Althea. The proposed budget for Ohio public education boasts a 2% increase in overall funding, but not all districts would necessarily benefit from these changes. For Talawanda schools, this proposed budget would mean a loss of nearly $500,000 for transportation in the next 2 years. Talawanda school buses drive over 3,000 miles each day. In total, that's longer than the distance between New York and California. But the cost of transporting over 2,000 students daily isn't cheap. Currently, Talawanda schools receive just under $8 million of state funding each year. Over $1 million from those funds are used on transportation. Under House Bill 49's proposed budget, Talawanda's transportation funding would be reduced by 25% in 2018 and another 25% in 2019. Overall, Talawanda schools would not gain or lose any money starting in July of 2017. The cut funding from transportation would instead be put into the transitional guarantee. Guarantee funds increase proportionally with cuts to make sure that schools with decreasing enrollment rates, like Talawanda, don't lose any money. These funds can be used on several areas of the school budget and would make up for any cuts in transportation in the next 2 years. However, Talawanda Treasurer Mike Davis says the availability of this guarantee could change in the future.
The hydraulic is that cut in transportation funding is putting more dollars in the guarantee. That's how we stay flat funded. But again, it's putting us at greater risk down the road that when either the Kasich administration or a subsequent administration looks at school funding, decides that the guarantee is something that they don't want to go forward, then we're certainly at risk of losing that money.
House Bill 49 is currently being looked over and adjusted by the Ohio Senate and House of Representatives. Adjustments will be presented to Governor Kasich, who has until June 30th to either sign or veto the bill. Back to you, Althea and Skylar.
Coming up on Oxford Weekly News, in addition to the menu at Miami hockey games that first required approval from the state.
Also ahead, a big honor for a group of Talawanda High School students. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Oxford Weekly News. I'm Althea Purley. Hockey and wine, what sounds like an unusual pairing is now a reality at Miami, but there's a catch. At the February 21st Oxford City Council meeting, officials unanimously voted to grant a wine permit for Goggin Ice Rink, making it the first location on Miami's campus to offer wine at sporting events. But there's a twist. The wine and beer will only be served to specific patrons. Claire Wagner, the Director of Communication and News, explains.
We started offering beer in a limited way at Goggin 2 years ago, only on the club level, which is people who donate to the program as well as buying expensive tickets. And it is that group that if we decide to go forward with the wine serving, will also have access to buy wine.
The club seating area and lounge is available to season ticket holders for a higher ticket price. It's also where corporations, student groups, Miami merger rehearsal groups, and the president holds events.
The lounge is, the way it is set up, it has very nice furniture in there. It's set up with 4 tops. It can accommodate 100 guests plus an additional 30 or so we've got some high top tables and viewing along the windows. And then there's seating at the bar as well.
Miami University first applied for the wine permit in 2015, where it stayed until the fall of 2016, when 2 became available after Stadium Bar canceled their permit, and the state of Ohio raised their population-based quota for wine permits. It is unclear if Goggin will use this permit in the future. Beer sales are also offered at Jaeger to anyone who is 21 and over. There have been no reports of issues in its first year of sales.
Miami's Performing Arts Series hosted the It Gets Better project on campus with daily events from February 20th through the 25th. The week of events will culminate with a performance of It Gets Better by the Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles on Saturday, February 25th in Hall Auditorium.
We had a great luncheon yesterday with community members to talk about what are the issues in our community and how can we make it better for the youth, whatever they may identify with, so that we can just be a more supportive community.
It Gets Better was formed in 2010 in response to teen suicides and works to create more support for youths that experience bullying due to sexual orientation.
Phase 1 of the new Oxford Area Trail will break ground Wednesday, March 1st. The multi-use trail starting at the Black Covered Bridge will be a circumnavigating system that will surround the city of Oxford. This first phase will begin just north of Oxford and will extend to Leonard Howell Park.
It's going to be a multi-use recreational trail, so runners, bikers, joggers, rollerbladers, strollers, that kind of thing.
One of the trail is aimed to be completed by June of this year.
Coming up on Oxford Weekly News, Miami's partnership with Luxembourg just got stronger.
Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Alumni and friends of Miami University helped contribute to record-breaking fundraising. Over $92 million in gifts and pledges made in the 2016 calendar year made it the biggest in Miami's history. Overall giving increased by 73% as compared to 2015. Richard and Joyce Farmer and the Farmer Family Foundation gave a $40 million gift. It was the largest gift from a single foundation or an individual in Miami's 207-year history.
Talawanda High School's mock trial team is headed to the state competition. It qualified by beating Springfield and Cincinnati St. Xavier teams on February 10th at the Hamilton County Regional Competition. Amanda Weatherwax, mock trial coach, is excited about this victory for a unique reason.
It's particularly exciting because, first of all, we're a public school team, and secondly, the team from THS that made it to state competition is an all-girls team. So it's an all-girls public school team, which I think is really neat, and at our regional competition, we beat an all-boys private school team.
Junior Emily Zhao Wang and senior Kendall Kramer won Outstanding Witness Awards. Senior Dakota Bailey Von Kuren won Outstanding Attorney. The team will be competing at Franklin County Courthouse on March 8th.
On February 20th, an official Sister Cities agreement was reached between Oxford and Differdon, a project in the works since 1999. Oxford Mayor and Tom Uvelling, a member of the Differdon City Council, signed the papers at Oxford Lane Library. The agreement was read in both French and English. The representatives gifted the flag of Differdon to the mayor, and Uvelling talked of a grant establishment for students to study at Miami's European Center.
Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and Oxford, Ohio are separated by more than 5,000 miles. But the city seemed much closer when I attended the Carnival of Flavors.
On Wednesday, February 22nd, Miami University's Center for American and World Cultures hosted its third annual Carnival of Flavors. The event celebrated Brazil's Carnival, a yearly festival which marks the beginning of Lent. The week-long celebration unifies the country, honoring a mixture of religion and traditions. Miami University professor Dr. Paula Gandara taught samba at the event. Although Carnival is most closely associated with Brazil's festival in Rio de Janeiro, in Latin America, each country celebrates Carnival in their own way. Miami's Latino outreach coordinator Sylvia Rothschild organized the event.
I don't think that there is much like the Brazilian Carnival, but there's a lot of influence. There's a Caribbean influence. In the Caribbean, they do have a carnival, and it started actually from it derived from the idea of Brazil. You have Mardi Gras, you have the carnival in Venice, but each one has its own tradition.
In Rio, the most significant element of Carnival is the costumes. Designed to reflect the theme each samba school presents at the parade, thousands of hours a year are spent creating these elaborate handmade pieces. Miami University professor Thomas Garcia gave a presentation about the traditions and celebration of Carnival in Brazil. Garcia, who was born in Rio, showcased costumes from his times participating in Carnival. The event was sponsored by the Departments of Music, Spanish, and Portuguese and the Oxford Lane Library.
The event is scheduled to return in February of 2018.
Looking for more local news? This week on the Oxford Patch site, learn about the City Police Department's hunt for a new K-9 unit. Read about a group that provides support to survivors of sexual assault, and meet the man who is working to bring the March for Science to Oxford.
You can find these and other stories at patch.com/Ohio/Miami University-Oxford. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Skylar Dubelko.
And I'm Althea Purley. You can watch us online on our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Search Oxford Weekly News.